Step right up, dummies, and listen to the stupidest sports show on earth with Rodney Newpol and Tim Van Stratton. Well, hello there. Wait. There we go.
Yes.
There it is.
There it is.
Welcome to episode 6 of the stupidest sports show on earth. We made it to an episode 6. They doubted us. They said, you can't do it. You're too stupid. But guess what? We're just the right amount of stupid.
Here we are.
To episode 6. I am Tim, the hit dog Van Stratton. With me is Rodney Newpol, our Thursday night football expert.
Right.
Man, Bills-Dolphins. Woof.
Yeah, not great for the Dolphins. Not great for the nerdy head coach, and really not great for the quarterback. And not to laugh about it because it's not funny, but at this point, I'm not sure Tua should play in the National Football League again. I mean, that's serious. That's big time. It's very concerning. And for him in his life, what is he, mid-20s? He's, whatever he wants to do in the future. It doesn't have to be in the National Football League. And gosh, that was scary. But yes, pat myself on the back. Big win for the Buffalo Bills. Loved it from the start. A lot of people, I don't know. I felt like it might have been pretty split. But I heard a lot of people like the Dolphins. This was the year, this was the time they were going to win at home. I just think Buffalo they kind of got that chip on their shoulder. They lost Stephon Diggs. They lost some of those defensive players. And it really just kind of inspired and motivated them more than anything. And, that's why they're my Super Bowl pick. They look pretty good.
31-10 was the final score. Now, at first, first quarter goes, we see the teams trade touchdowns. I mean, James Cook obviously was first on the board, his first of 3 that he had in the first half. For the Dolphins, Tua had a nice drive. It finished with Devon Achane, an easy catch and run into the end zone. And it had the makings of, this is going to be a pretty decent game. And then it just sort of unraveled where Tua threw another interception. And honestly, I would say the first 2 interceptions, I would not even put on Tua.
Yeah.
The first guy was not looking for the ball. The second one to Robbie Chosen, formerly Robbie Anderson, he came in. Tua clearly expected him to continue going out, and it just went right into the arms of the Buffalo safety. The third one, the pick 6 that we had early in the second half, that I will put on Tua. And at that point, it was like, all right, well, all hope is lost here. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, going into halftime, it was only a 2-touchdown game. It wasn't like it was this insurmountable lead that Buffalo built up, but it seemed pretty apparent that the Dolphins were not going to, hey, Tua, go and just bomb this out. We're going to absolutely go, and we're going to be aggressive. Like after that second interception to me, and we were talking about it a little bit on Thursday, that they were playing ultra conservative.
Yeah.
There was a lot of running the ball. I mean, Devon Achane was a game time decision. They still gave him 22 carries and 7 receptions. I mean, that is 29 touches.
Oh.
That Devon Achane had for a guy that was a true game time decision. Like they relied on their running back because they didn't trust Tua to throw the ball down the field. Tyreek had 3 catches.
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle had 4 catches. It's just not the Dolphins that we're used to seeing, but I think Buffalo just absolutely took those options away and forced Miami to play a conservative style of football. And look, there's a reason that the Bills have now won 12 of their last 13 games against the Dolphins. Yeah. They know how to play this team, and it's a very one-sided rivalry.
Are we sure Miami's all that good? Don't get me wrong. Like, yes, it's easy to say now going forward because they're probably going to be playing Skylar Thompson. So, like, I'm not asking for to be right after week 2 on Miami, but I don't know as if they're all that good or they got hot, caught lightning in a bottle, got their offense going, but then kind of caught up to them a little bit last year. I don't know if Miami's that good.
Well, in our season projections where we were going through, I had them at 9 wins and missing the playoffs. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if this Dolphins team takes a step back comparatively to what we've seen the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Their big issue has been ending the season. It seems for whatever reason, once the weather starts to turn, it gets cold, your team gets beat up, playoffs are right on the horizon. That's when the team begins to crumble a little bit. But week 1, the Dolphins barely beat the Jaguars at home, needed a last-second field goal to do it. And then we're not competitive at all against Buffalo at home.
Yeah, you got to be
in
a little
September
concerned.
in favorable conditions for you. So it's only going to get more difficult from here the more banged up you get. And yeah, realistically now, as you said, you're facing a scenario where two is out. Skylar Thompson's going to be your quarterback. Do I think that they can be competent with him? Sure. Do I think that he is going to be a quarterback that leads them to the playoffs if he's there long term? No, I don't. So yeah, I don't think that they're very good. They still have good players on both sides of the ball, but yeah, something's off there. And I think Buffalo really asserted themselves as, hey, we're not going anywhere.
Right. I mean, Miami's at Seattle week 3. They're going to be underdogs with Skylar Thompson for sure. But then they have the Titans and the Patriots, 2 games that Skylar Thompson could beat them in that. I mean, we saw Will Levis isn't any better than Skylar Thompson. And I don't know what we think about the Patriots yet. Yes, they got a big week 1 win, but I'd like to see a little bit more from them. So, I say they're not real good. They do have a chance to kind of float here if they're going to do something at quarterback outside of Skylar Thompson. I just don't think it's going to be Tua. I don't know how you can bring him back here anytime soon and say, yeah, you're ready to go. Yeah, just go out there and take your hits. Like I just don't think it's going to be Tua.
How ironic was it that Tua goes head first and the guy that he collides with is Damar Hamlin? Like that's people say the NFL is not scripted, which it's not. But there's certain moments where it's like, huh, like that, like of course that would be the situation.
Yeah, that was a weird moment there, and at first I wondered if it was a late or dirty hit, but it wasn't.
No.
I mean, no, it wasn't.
No, it was purely a clean hit. It was Tua going in inexplicably head first, straight into the chest of Damar Hamlin. Like I saw someone on Twitter saying that it's the 2 most fragile body parts in the NFL, Tua's head and Damar Hamlin's chest, that collided with each other. And it's like, it's you laugh, but it's like, you feel icky at the same time just thinking about that, because at the end of the day, this is a very violent game. But yeah, it just, you can't really script a story like that.
And you knew it was, I mean, obviously you saw it was serious on the field, but then you knew it was serious when within minutes they're like, yeah, Tua's surrounded by his family and friends, and like, I mean, yes, that happens a lot with injuries, but like the tone of it was like, boy, I don't know about that guy. I don't know about that guy returning anytime. Obviously not for the game, but anytime soon in the National Football League. So good win for the Bills, but that's the big storyline there is Tua.
All right, I want to continue talking just a little bit about this Bills-Dolphins game, but I want to introduce a segment. This isn't going to be a regular occurring thing, but I had some thoughts on it. This is a segment that I'm going to call, I hate to say it, but, and it's just something where it's like, I don't feel good about saying this. I don't like to admit it, but I got to say it. And I think we touched on it quite a bit. The first one is, I hate to say it, but I don't think Tua Tagovailoa is long for the NFL at this rate. And this is concussion number 3. He had the two in 2022, including the one with the hands, which I think is the one sort of defining image of his career with the Dolphins at this point. Was able to get through last season healthy, but this year he slimmed down. He seems like he's more mobile, for better or worse. And last night we clearly saw that it's for worse. But yeah, you never know with these football guys. I mean, he clearly was feeling pressure when he talked about it in interviews. People were saying, you can walk away. You don't have to keep playing. And he's like, no, I'm going to keep playing. So you can never say for sure, oh yeah, this guy is absolutely going to be like, all right, that's it, I'm done, because he loves football and this is a livelihood. You can't just take that away from someone. But at the same time, at what point is enough? And yesterday felt like one of those moments where everyone just kind of knew, like, we don't know how much longer this guy can do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think many have thought that. Obviously, there's been Dolphins fans or others that are kind of holding out hope that he can protect himself. Go head first like that. I mean, I hate to say it there, but like he put this one on himself. He did. I hate to say it, but he caused this one himself.
Mm-hmm. Let's do another. I hate to say it, and if
Yeah.
you have one too, feel free. But I was going to say I hate to say it, but the Mike McDaniel run in Miami might be coming to an end, or let me put it better: the Mike McDaniel magic, the experience, whatever you want to say to talk about Mike McDaniel, who is probably the least sort of conventional head coach that we have in the NFL. Successful first 2 years with the Dolphins, got them to the playoffs. I think totally reignited Tua's confidence. It created this explosive creative offense that looked quite good for his first 2 seasons. But year 3, you don't have a playoff win. You might not have your quarterback. You were embarrassed in a primetime game against your division rival at home
Yeah.
early in the year. This is a very defining moment for Mike McDaniel, how he responds. And I hate to say it, but I don't know if he is going to be the guy that can rally his team the same way that like Dan Campbell could if the Lions were in the same situation.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I agree. I hate to say it too. I also hate to say that Sean McDermott probably, I mean, to me, is the better football coach. Really, I mean,
Mhm.
don't get me wrong. Like, there's a lot of aspects to being a football coach. Sean McDermott, I think, is the better game leader, rallier of his team.
Mhm.
Obviously, McDaniel is really good with the flow of the offense when he's got all of his guys, the creativity. But man, McDermott's teams have just continually looked ready more than McDaniel's team has. I mean, I think again last night, like his team just didn't look ready. They did not look ready to play. And if you got one game on the line, are you taking McDermott or are you taking McDaniel?
I mean, one game. I'm gonna go with the coach just won playoff games.
Yeah,
Like
and no
that's
Super
what it
Bowl
comes
yet,
down to.
obviously.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at McDaniel, his tenure with the Dolphins, it's been the same thing the last 2 years. Great start,
Yeah,
rocky finish, and then out in the first game of the playoffs.
yeah,
Last year, they had a chance to win the division in week 18. They played Buffalo. They
okay,
lost to Buffalo.
yeah,
And as a result, they had to go to Kansas City, play in negative temperatures, and they got their ass kicked.
yeah,
Like that was a huge difference. Otherwise, if they win that game against Buffalo, they're at home. They play what, Pittsburgh? Like it's
yeah.
a totally different scenario. So it's when push comes to shove, they just haven't been able to do it. And yesterday, even though it was regular season, it was week 2. It was one of those situations where if the Dolphins win, it is a huge statement for them to get that monkey off their back to say, hey, we are just as good as the Bills. We can win this division. And what they showed yesterday is that they're not even close.
Yeah, and I mean, and what you're looking at for you, like you like the Jets to
Yeah.
maybe win the division or finish second. This
Huge. I mean, it's
this
huge for the
helps.
Jets. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
this
huge. If the Dolphins are going to be
yeah.
out of it, I mean, the Jets, it's a wild card spot is right there for them now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I can't imagine the Patriots continue to be any good. Obviously, with a 1-0 start, who knows? But yeah, those are the two teams that are like, interesting here. Now, the Bills obviously are still going to be the class of the division for now. But boy, Dolphins certainly look vulnerable to give up that second playoff spot.
I have one more. I hate to say it. I'm gonna switch to the Buffalo side real quick.
Yeah,
I hate to say it, but I don't think the Bills needed Stephon Diggs. I
no,
don't get me
I
wrong.
agree. Agree.
Like Stephon Diggs has been an exceptional piece for that team for the last few years, but I think trading them when they did so far, they don't have that number one, but I think we're seeing Khalil Shakir sort of become the lead option there. But I think we're going to see an offense that James Cook gets a lot of run at, but Josh Allen is just going to throw all over the field. There's not going to be a set guy. There's no digs that the defense is going to focus on. Tonight it might be Shakir. Next week it might be Kincaid. Keon Coleman didn't have a catch, but I wouldn't be surprised if the next game Keon Coleman is a heavy part of the game plan. Like it will work for them at least for right now to not have that receiver that defenses are focusing on.
Yeah, and kind of on the negative side, like, and not have that receiver that's complaining all of the time about not getting the ball from Josh Allen. Like, Josh Allen at some point last year had to be like, dude, just stop. Like, stop complaining about not getting the ball. I'm trying to get you the ball. If you're open, I'm going to try to get you the ball. Like, it's hard to get you the ball every dang time you want the ball. So, yeah, I mean, the drama left the locker room. They look good. I mean, he was good. And you're right. Like, this is not necessarily a knock on Stephon Diggs because he's a great receiver. He had 2 touchdowns with Houston. He's going to have a bunch this year. I would guess he may have double digits this year for Houston, but it just didn't work for him in Buffalo. And that was not that I'm necessarily bragging about the fact that that's why I picked, but that's kind of why I picked Buffalo. I'm like, I feel like they have kind of that monkey off their back, that they got rid of some of the drama. They got rid of some of the pressure of getting the ball to him, and they're going to have guys step up, and we'll see. I mean, it's 2 games in, but I'm with you. I hate to say it. I don't think the Buffalo Bills needed Stephon Diggs either.
Who do the Bills have on their upcoming schedule here? That's because we
both
have them winning the division. Arizona to start wasn't a terribly difficult game. They made it probably a little bit more difficult than it needed to be. But at Miami week 2, I think everyone was looking at that early on and saying, "Oh, that's going to be a tough one."
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so their schedule's not easy. I mean, they got they got Jacksonville Monday Night Football coming up. That's a very winnable game. They'll be favored, but they go to Baltimore, they go to Houston, and they go to the Jets in their next 3 games after that. That's 3 straight road games. Now, I think they're all away. I always get confused with like the London games because it sometimes mentions, and what I have up here doesn't. But I don't think those are London games.
No. The times would indicate they're not. So, but 2 of them are prime time. The Baltimore game, Sunday Night Football. Yeah. Then just regular noon kickoff for Houston, and then they're Monday night again for the Jets.
Yeah. So later in the year, Buffalo has this is just before Thanksgiving. They host the Chiefs. They have their bye week around Thanksgiving. After bye week, they host the 49ers. They go to the Rams and then to the Lions.
So they're gonna have a stretch for sure. Where we're really gonna see how good this team is. If 2 is out long term, that's really gonna take Miami out of the mix.
Yeah,
the Patriots aren't going to be in the mix, and then we'll see what happens with the Jets if the Jets can be good enough realistically to take that division. But I mean, you're still probably getting at least 11 wins. I would say 11 wins this division.
Yeah,
at this point.
I mean, Buffalo's going to lose games. I mean, they're with that schedule, they're going to lose games. 3 straight road games, 2 straight big ones towards the end. So 11-6, 10-7 could win the division. This could be a scenario where it is a 10-7 divisional winner and everybody else is at 8-9 or worse. I could certainly see that.
All right. Do you have any more, I hate to say it, butts, or should we move on to some college NFL talk?
No, I think all 3 were good, and I think we're all on the same page on all those. Really, we just kind of have a little bit different angles on them, but that's a good segment. Every once in a while, we'll have to bring that one back.
I hate to say it. Well, that's just I was thinking. That game was ripe with, I hate to say it, butts. It's how it happens. I don't know. But yes, this is another weekend of college and NFL football. You and I were talking a little bit before the show, Rodney, and this college slate, we'll start there. Not the most inspiring. There's an argument that one of the best games is tonight. We're Friday night game. Number 20 Arizona at number 14 Kansas State. That is spoiler alert, something that might or might not be discussed in Best Bets for Betting, which will of course have another edition of here in a little bit. But are there any other games? There's Alabama, Wisconsin, which should be a good game. Is that where's game day going this week?
I think they are going to Madison, aren't they?
Or is it South Carolina? Is it LSU South Carolina? It might be that one.
Game day. So I mean, Alabama, Wisconsin theoretically is a good game, but it's a 16.
But Alabama's going to crush them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 16-point spread, and we saw Wisconsin last week obviously get a little bit, Alabama get tested by South Florida, but I think that was more of just South Florida has figured something out to compete with the Crimson Tide. I do not think Wisconsin will. Boston College at Missouri. I mean, somehow Boston College is ranked 24th in the country. I don't know if Doug Flutie came back or what, but they are 2-0. They beat Duquesne last week, 56-0. Oklahoma Tulane's not a terrible game. we saw Tulane compete with Kansas State. We saw Oklahoma kind of struggle with Houston a little bit. Oregon State, Notre Dame, Purdue, all those are okay, but none of them were like, wow. There's a couple of weeks from now, there's just this massive slate where like there's like 6 games and everybody's putting the social media out there that I'd miss my own wedding for this slate of college football. If they could take some of those games and move them to week 3, we'd be in better shape. Because I'm not thrilled with tomorrow's slate.
It's I have a shameful admission.
Yeah,
I am now just learning. All right, obviously you got me beat on college, but I still have a general idea of okay what the best games are, who the best teams are. I am now just learning that Missouri is the 6th ranked team in the nation.
Yeah, pretty good. They're pretty good though, man. They are pretty good. Don't love to say
they're number 6. I would hope so.
Yeah,
Sheesh.
Don't love to say it as a Kansas Jayhawks guy. Cook, your quarterback, is a pretty good player. He can really sling it, Brady Cook. And then they have Luther Burden, who's a really nice receiver. Now, he was sick this week. I think he's still going to play. He's probable. But, yeah, Missouri's good. Missouri's definitely good.
You know what I'm looking forward to? I don't know if you mentioned this. Oregon State this weekend. This is the first time that they're going to be facing off when they're not in the same conference.
Yeah.
The game is at Oregon State. So I'm wondering if you're going to have that like, hey, you guys left the Pac-12. You think you're all that, and then there's going to be that sort of element to it. I think that could be a pretty good game. Well, it's weird because I'm used to it being that like late night Pac-12 game. Yeah. They're putting it right in the afternoon, 2:30 Central.
I mean, we've seen Oregon struggle both games so far this year. So are we wondering how good Oregon actually is? They'll get tested. They're in Corvallis. I mean, yeah, you're right. Like, hey, you guys left us. Let's stick it to them. And then, and this is another one that we're going to talk about, the best bets for betting. How about the Big Ten opener for the UCLA Bruins? They get Indiana out to Westwood. Indiana goes to Westwood for a Big Ten opener.
Listen, that UCLA Indiana football rivalry is well documented. Maybe if this was college basketball from the 70s and 80s, I think UCLA versus Indiana gets a pretty big draw. I don't know if they have much football history, but obviously that's going to change now.
We could do a Bobby Knight versus John Wooden.
That would be good.
Yeah,
that would be good. But yeah, other than that, though, like there's not really a ton of great college games. There's some teams that are on a bye, like USC isn't even playing this week because they're off. And then I think USC Michigan in week 4 is going to be a game that people are excited about. And we should have a lot more college stuff there. But should we transition to our favorite weekly game?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's best bets for betting.
Do we want to do that now before we talk the NFL?
Actually, you know what? Yes, let's go back. I got a little too happy. Yeah, let's do a brief rundown of the NFL games. I hate to pour it on and say, oh well, this NFL schedule also isn't that great, but there's only a couple games on here that I'm looking at for Sunday where I'm like, oh man, this is absolutely must watch. I would say I'll give you my 3 favorites that I'm really looking forward to for this week, and not just betting, just purely I'm going to watch this. I'm going to enjoy it because it's football and I'm addicted. Maybe my number 1 is Bucks Lions.
Yeah,
it's a rematch of last year's NFC divisional round game. It was a good competitive game. It's the highest projected point total for the weekend at 51.5. The next highest was the Miami Buffalo game on Thursday, which of course fell about a touchdown worth under. But that Bucks Lions game, I think the Bucks offense looked great against Washington. Detroit had that gutted out win against the Rams on Sunday Night Football. So I think that should be a really fun game. I'm actually looking forward to 49ers.
Just say it like it is. You're obsessed with Man Campbell.
I am. No, I am. I 100% am. I love everything about him. He won me over. At first I was like, oh, what is this meathead weirdo doing talking about eating kneecaps? I think a lot of people thought that, but like the guy's a good football coach, and I think you can tell because the team has taken on his identity, and that is really the sign of a good coach. When you have a 53-man roster that buys into what you're selling, you're doing a good job. So yes, that's my number 1 game. I was saying 49ers Vikings might be a game that I'm interested in. I think a lot of people are now higher on Sam Darnold because of what he did against the Giants. Do I think that Sam Darnold will be better than he was against the Jets or with the Jets? Yeah, I do. He's in a much better situation. Do I think that he is going to come back down to earth a little bit against San Francisco? Probably, but it is also a revenge game, by the way. Sam Darnold against one of his former teams.
Yeah, and what I see here, and what I mean, I heard a little bit of this from Colin Cowherd, who, love or like him, whatever, love or hate him, whatever. He is intelligent and does say some very intelligent things, and he was talking about how it's a quarterback head coach league, and Kevin O'Connell is actually very underrated as a head coach, in my opinion, and I think he's going to have his Vikings very prepared for this game. Now, don't get me wrong, Shanahan on the other side also very intelligent, very good head coach. I think you're going to see Minnesota at home. Now, something that I don't know really been talked about, the West Coast coming all the way to the Central Time Zone for a noon game. Now, I know it's not the East Coast, but they got to go all the way to the Central Time Zone, play an early game. San Francisco coming off that very dramatic win, where, you weren't sure they were going to win. Then they came out and played really well on Monday night. They do have short rest coming into this one. We'll get to this one in best bets for betting, but I do love this game as well. I think this can be a very competitive game.
And then the other one that I'm really looking forward to, I guess it's a tie. I'm going to give you two that I'm tied on. It's Bengals Chiefs, and I think I'd be a lot more excited about it if this game was in week 12 as opposed to week 2, just because the Bengals are notoriously slow starters. And then Bears Texans. I think it's a good Sunday night game. I'm excited to see what Caleb Williams can do in that type of pressure, like at Houston against CJ Stroud and a Texans team that really, I think the Bears are trying to be the 2024 version of the Texans in a lot of ways. So yeah, it's both those games. Kind of a toss up there, but I'll just give you a brief rundown of the week 2 games. So Giants Commanders. And you could stop me at any point if there's a game that you are really fascinated in here. There's Saints Cowboys.
Yeah, let me talk here on Giants real quick. We talked. I am high on Daniel Jones this week, and it's mostly because the Commanders are terrible on defense. They're terrible on defense, and until they show me they're not terrible on defense, I'm willing to spend the 56 or 5,900, whatever it is, on DraftKings to play Daniel Jones and be able to load up at other positions. My problem right now is who to match Daniel Jones with in that Giants receiving corps, because Malik Neighbors did not practice this week, or at least yesterday. I don't know what his status will be today. Is it Wan'Dale? I don't know, but I am a little bit high on Daniel Jones, and I will go, and I know I'm not going to take this in the best bets for betting, but I'm going to take the over this game, 43.5. I know many are going to be on the under, but I could see a 24-20 type game where it does go over. So I'm higher on your boy Daniel Jones than you are.
It's just a bad time. It's a bad time to be a fan of that team in a lot of ways. I mentioned Saints Cowboys, Bucks Lions, Colts Packers. Likely no Jordan Love. They're really non-committal to what their quarterback situation is going to be. Indy's a favorite right now, 2.5 points, assuming that it's Malik Willis instead of Jordan Love. But I'm curious to see how that game looks. Probably see a lot of running the football on both sides. Jets Titans. We'll see how legit the Jets are against a team that's not the 49ers,
right,
but still got to go on the road against a Titans team that probably should have beat the Bears. 49ers, Vikings, Seahawks, Patriots, Chargers, Panthers. Do the Panthers get their first win? I don't think so. Not against Jim Harbaugh.
Nope.
Browns, Jaguars. Browns, Jaguars is another game where I wouldn't say that I'm like, oh man, I have to watch this, but yeah, I really don't know where to go with it because I don't know what the Browns are doing at quarterback. The Jaguars they seem so uninspiring to me.
Yeah. The story for me in this game is how will Deshaun Watson play? Because the pressure is already mounting on him and that franchise to move on, to do something else, to replace him, whatever they want to do. And if he doesn't play well in week 2 and they are 0-2, Kevin Stefanski's going to get the heat. He's going to get Deshaun Watson's going to get a lot of the heat. I like Jacksonville in this game. I know you're right. They are kind of uninspired. You never know what they're going to do in this one. But keep in mind, they are playing at Trevor Bank Field. They're in Jacksonville.
Okay, so I saw that yesterday.
Yeah.
What is that? What's going on?
Yeah, so part of a sponsorship that Trevor Lawrence has with Everbank Field, which is what they are named, it must have been put in the agreement that for 1 week they are just going to add the TR to the beginning of the stadium and call it Trevor Bank Stadium.
Do you think this is going to be something that more athletes do? Like, I know we're seeing non-athletes do it. I'm sure you saw, but FIU, their football stadium is now officially Pitbull Stadium,
Yeah.
named
Okay.
after Pitbull, the recording artist. Um, do you think that we're going to see athletes put their own name and secure the naming rights for the stadium either they play in or just any other field somewhere?
Well, I mean, yeah, it looks like the beginning here, and I would never have put Trevor Lawrence as the beginning of the NFL players that. So yeah, to answer your question, I do think it's coming. So it's going to be capital TR, capital EVER Bank Stadium. He is a brand ambassador for the Everbank, and that was done in August. And what I find funny here is that his quote, Trevor Lawrence's quote says, "I don't like having too much spotlight with stuff like that." So
As
you're
he
going to
puts
have
his
the whole
as he puts his
stadium.
misspelled name on the front of the stadium.
70,000 people are in the stands are going to see your name on yeah, okay, Trevor. I mean, I'm sure, yeah, it was part of the $275 million extension he got, which is kind of wowing in the first place, Trevor Lawrence. But yeah, Trevor Bank Stadium. Back to the game, though. I like the Jaguars to beat the Browns here.
No, I was just gonna say though, imagine someone telling you in April of 2021 that in his fourth season, Trevor Lawrence would have a $200+ million extension and also the naming rights of the Jaguar Stadium.
Yeah.
You'd be like, wow, he's amazing. But then again, it makes sense. He's the best quarterback prospect we've seen since Andrew Luck. Wow, he must
Yeah.
be the best quarterback in the NFL by a mile.
Yeah.
And
And are
and
they
I
going for
would
three?
say he's at absolute best, maybe top 10. But I don't even think so. I think I could give
Maybe.
you 10 ahead. I would take over Trevor Lawrence.
And if you said that, it would be like, oh, so they've won back-to-back Super Bowls, huh?
Right.
Jacksonville. That's awesome. Or okay, they got a Super Bowl and they contended for the next one, but no, Jacksonville missed the playoffs last year. They did not reach the playoffs, and I are 0-1 this year. So big game here actually for both these teams because both these teams have talked about wanting to or be playoff teams, and I don't know as if I see it on either one. I thought Jacksonville would bounce back a little bit this year, and they did play decent in week one. They weren't terrible in week one. They had Miami on the ropes, but yeah, big game for both of them here in week two.
Continuing on, we have Raiders, Ravens, two 0-1 teams, but obviously you feel a lot better about the Ravens. I want to say that's the biggest spread of the week. 9 points is what I see for Baltimore. Rams Cardinals is a game that I'm very intrigued by. The Cardinals are a 1-point home favorite, and potentially this is a game where people are maybe like, hey, how are the Rams underdogs? And you're going to see the line maybe move toward the Rams a bit as we get closer to kickoff. And then we got Steelers, Broncos, Bengals, Chiefs, Bears, Texans, and then we finish it off Monday with Falcons, Eagles. Any of those groups of late games / primetime games that you're really excited by?
Yeah, so the storyline there in Arizona obviously is going to be how does Kyler Murray bounce back, and the comments about not his job to get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. Well, I mean, while he's probably right in what he means to say here, it is his job to get the ball to the open guy for a touchdown to win the game.
That was so weird.
Yeah.
That was a weird comment that he said. How is that not your job? That you were the person solely in charge of throwing the ball to him.
Yeah. Yes. Very, very odd comments. And then, for the Rams, like Puka's out now. So, and Cooper Kupp looked tremendous. So is he going to get even more possible targets this week? Are they going to have another receiver step up? Is Kyron Williams going to be involved? I mean, in the end, Sean McVay is still going to have a great game plan. I 100% think that. But that is an interesting game there in the NFC West. The other ones I wasn't super thrilled about: the Steelers, Broncos, even Falcons, Eagles. A lot of people think that the Falcons will compete with the Eagles. It's Kirk Cousins on Monday Night Football. I mean, I'm probably taking the Eagles. This is not a best bet for betting because I'll decide on this one Monday. I'd probably take the Eagles, though. I'm just not going to buy into the Falcons going on the road competing with Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's a tough start for them. Like to be thrown into that situation. It's a new coach, it's a new quarterback, it's just a new lot of things. And ideally, you want to have a situation where it's you can kind of ease in a little bit, but they're thrown right in. It's like, oh, here's one of the most experienced coaches in the league and the best defense is in Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. And then you got to go to Philadelphia to play one of the teams that many expect to contend for a Super Bowl. Good luck.
Yeah, not easy. Not easy. Yeah, and if the new head coach there, a little pressure already going 0-2 would not be great. But yeah, should be. I mean, it's gonna be a decent game. Kirk Cousins is gonna sling the ball around, but
I mean, you would think we thought we'd see it, but and then again, I do think the Eagles' pass defense is a lot more susceptible to big plays than say the Steelers are.
Yeah, and they're going to have
last year had like the worst. It was like the worst pass defense in the NFL.
Yeah, and they're going to have to come up with a better game plan. Atlanta is, and they saw that Philadelphia wasn't real good against Jordan Love and the Packers' pass defense. So it'll be interesting to see. But as of right now, I'm taking Philadelphia.
Eagles also benefit, by the way, from they played Friday nights. Yes. And then they didn't play again until Monday night. Like, that's a lot of rest that they were awarded there.
Yeah. A little conspiracy against your New York Giants to allow the Eagles to win the division.
Yes. I do believe so. Knowing the NFL, they definitely do not want a small market team like the New York Football Giants to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's anti New York bias. If I've ever seen one. All right. Now let's do best bets for betting. I got a little eager earlier. This is a weekly segment that Rodney and I like to do where we run down. We'll do 4 each again. Our favorite bets for you to follow, for you to fade, for you to just keep an eye on, so you can come back on Tuesday night and laugh at us, or be amazed at our brilliance and our genius. Now, I will say that the last best bets for betting did not go super well. Rodney was fine. I was not. You went 2-2 last week. I don't need to talk about it, but you're coming in to week 3 of best bets for betting with a 4-3 record. So you have 1 units. You're actively helping people make money. I am 2-5. I am stealing your money. I'm taking your money. Well, I'm not, but the sports books are. And I'm not. I promise I'm not a sleeper agent for the books. I legitimately am trying to win. But I feel good about this week. I do. I feel good about all 4 of my picks quite a bit. And let's just go ahead and start, Rodney, with your first one. Your first best bet for betting for the people.
And I before I give my first best bet for betting, you kind of talked about what they can do with these picks. And let me just tell you right now, I do not care what you do with these picks. I do not care if you took the pick, faded the pick, laughed at the pick, disagreed with the pick, agreed completely with the pick. If you want to tell me, that's fine, but I don't care. I do not. I do not care what you do with my picks. Arizona +7 tonight. Not the Arizona Cardinals, the Arizona Wildcats out of the Big 12. In fact, do not be surprised if the Arizona Wildcats win straight up on the road in Manhattan, Kansas tonight. Arizona really good pass offense in week 1, not real good in week 2. Got tested quite a bit there. Arizona's a sleeper to win the Big 12. Kansas State is one of the favorites with Utah to win the Big 12. But I'm going to take Arizona in that pass offense to compete, and I will take them to cover +7 on the road in Little Manhattan tonight. Go Wildcats, as they're both Wildcats, but I'll take Arizona +7 on the road.
My best bet for betting, I'm going to stay in the NFL. I'll let Rodney handle the college stuff, but I want to look at this Cowboys-Saints game. Both the Cowboys and the Saints had very enjoyable week 1s. The Saints put an absolute mauling against the Carolina Panthers. But the Cowboys not only went on the road, where everyone was like, oh, the Cowboys on the road, I don't know, they don't look so good. Went to Cleveland against a team that people, including myself, liked to be in the playoffs, and they destroyed them. They murdered them. They ripped out their heart and their soul and their guts, and they just left it out on the field. Now the Cowboys are back home where everyone knows the Cowboys are one of the best home teams in the NFL. They welcome the Saints. And I gotta say, I have it at 6.5 right now. I'm seeing ESPN Bet actually has it down to 6. The Cowboys are going to win this game by double digits here. Don't overthink this, people. Do you think that Derek Carr is going to go in and play well against this Cowboys defense? Let me give you this. The Cowboys would not only easily cover the 6.5 points wherever you find them, but I'll give you another bonus bet. I won't list this and I won't count it, but just a little nugget. The Cowboys defense will have yet another defensive touchdown, an interception thrown by Derek Carr that is returned by the defense for a touchdown.
I like it. I like it. Dallas is obviously going to be very popular in team defense formats, I would think. If whether you're playing on DraftKings, FanDuel, or just your season-long Dallas defense. I agree with you on this one. It's not one of my 4, but I'm going to take. I will take Dallas as well.
All right, Rodney, you're number 2.
Yeah, so my number 2 is going to be the Bruins at home, +3 against the Hoosiers. Indiana's got to take the long trip, their first kind of look at LA, their first Big Ten there at the Rose Bowl. I mean, Indiana hasn't been at the Rose Bowl ever, really. So the bright lights. Now, I know it's earlier in the day for UCLA. It gets a 6 o'clock start here, Central Time, so it would be 4 o'clock there in LA. Not going to be under the lights necessarily. But I think the lights will be too bright for the Hoosiers, who scored 77 on the Leathernecks of Western Illinois. But I will take UCLA +3, and this is another one where I like them via the money line as well. I think the Bruins win straight up. They had a week off. I'll take UCLA +3, and then sprinkle in like my +130 on the money line.
This historic UCLA Indiana football rivalry. I cannot wait to keep making this joke. Every Big Ten game that we do that involves like USC or Washington or UCLA, every time. That historic USC Nebraska game will be awesome. My number 2. Now it's funny because as we discussed earlier, I have a well-documented love affair with Dan Campbell. I think he's great. I love the Lions. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. But I also saw a lot to like about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last weekend. The Bucs are coming to Detroit. Baker Mayfield is coming off a game where he looks like a bona fide, I'm not going to say superstar quarterback, but a more than capable quarterback to lead Tampa Bay into the playoff conversation once again. Tampa Bay, generally speaking, starts very well in their season. Over the last 3 years, they are now 7-0 straight up and 6-1 against the spread in weeks 1 and 2. I think this is going to be a close game. I'll take Detroit to win at home, kind of similar to what their playoff game was last year, though, because I believe that the final score of that one, or at least for a lot of the game, was pretty close. It was within a possession. I think 7.5 is just a really large number. And we saw the Rams. It's not like the Lions were, oh my God, they played so well on Sunday. They totally decimated the Rams. I mean, they let the Rams get back into the game. They let it get to overtime. Cooper Kupp went off, and I could see another similar situation with Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. So I'm going to take the Buccaneers +7.5 at Detroit. I think Detroit still wins. They sneak it out because they're a better team overall, but I'd like it to be close. So give me the Bucs +7.5 on the road.
Yeah, last week I was kind of on the Baker Mayfield as my DFS quarterback, and obviously worked out pretty well for me. I think he's going to be pretty popular this week because they are going to see a potential shootout there between Tampa Bay and Detroit. I do like this game as well, and I do like your side, Tampa Bay, especially if you can get that hook at 7.5. It seems like real good value there. The problem is if you're trying to pick between Evans and Godwin, it's impossible. Right. It's just impossible. You almost have to play both of them and hope they really go off. But both good receivers, and then Rachaad White, I still think is a very talented running back and a threat in the game. So very good game there. I'm with you. I'm going to take Tampa Bay as well.
All right, Rodney, you're number 3, your best bet for betting. And now you are moving on from college football to the NFL. So what's your first one?
Yeah, I'm doing 2 of each, 2 college, 2 NFL. I'll go Kevin O'Connell and his Minnesota Vikings to compete and cover against the 49ers. Pretty simple pick here. Pretty self-explanatory. Just like Minnesota to compete, Sam Darnold takes care of the football. They run the ball well enough. They get the ball to Justin Jefferson when possible. San Francisco's got to go on the road. They struggle a little bit. I'm not saying Minnesota wins straight up, but Minnesota does cover the +5 here. I like the Vikings +5.
See, I think we're gonna disagree here. The logic makes sense. It's just but honestly, here's the thing too, and I don't know if you mentioned this. San Francisco lost this game last year when they went to Minnesota, but there were different circumstances. I think that was one of the games where Trent Williams was out or Debo was out.
Yeah.
And it was that weird stretch in the middle of the season where the 49ers had some injuries that really affected them. But if McCaffrey plays, assuming that they're all healthy, I would be surprised, especially because on the other side, Kyle Shanahan's pretty familiar with Sam Darnold just from their time together in San Francisco, kind of knows what to expect from Minnesota. So I think San Francisco wins this game pretty easily. But yeah, it is, I agree, a huge statement game for the Vikings and for Sam Darnold to sort of prove that, hey, we are actually more competitive than a lot of people think we're going to be.
Right.
So it makes sense to me. My third best bet for betting, I'm not proud of this one. I'm not, but I was looking through and here's the thing. The Giants at the Commanders, there are a couple certainties with the Giants. Number one is that they're going to lose to the Eagles and the Cowboys.
Twice.
Number two is they're going to beat the Commanders. For whatever reason, the Giants seem to always have Washington's number. They're a 1.5-point underdog in Washington. They're facing a rookie quarterback. They're facing a really bad defense. Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones, but again, against a Washington defense that is coming off of one of the worst seasons statistically that we've ever seen from a team defense and didn't look exactly any better against Tampa. I'm kind of with you in the sense where this game is probably going to be both teams in the 20s. I would assume. If not, if the Giants can't score against this team, then I think we have the conversation on Tuesday of this guy cannot be the quarterback anymore. But yeah, I think the Giants, both teams coming off a loss, but I think Giants +1.5, and probably I would just take Giants money line again at that point and say that they're going to win this game.
Neighbor's going to play.
I do. Yeah, it sounds like the injury yesterday, because it was a minor thing that happened during practice and they limited him, but it doesn't seem serious at all. I expect him to play, and Emmanuel Forbes, who is one of Washington's top cornerbacks, just had season-ending surgery, so he's going to be out, which that's going to be another bump for whether it's Neighbors, whether it's Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, like whoever, and I could see any of those receivers going off, but I would say Malik Neighbors is going to be full systems go, but that's another reason why I think the Giants are going to cover the 1.5 and win this game, because that didn't burn me last week taking the Giants to win, but I'm a sicko that way. And then our go ahead.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, you know what I feel about the Giants here, so I don't have to give my thoughts on this one.
All right, and then number 4, your final best bet for betting.
Yeah, so I'm going to take the Houston Texans. Everybody knows that I am a proud Chicago Bears season ticket holder that plans to go to 0 games this year. But all right, so here's a list of who's Matt Eberflus has beat as the head coach and their quarterback. All right, since Matt Eberflus become the head coach, they have beat Sam Howell.
So this is he's been there 2 years now. This is his 3rd year, correct?
All right. Here's the quarterbacks he's beat: Sam Howell,
all right,
Bryce Young, Davis Mills, Josh Dobbs, Brian Hoyer, Bailey Zappi, Trey Lance, Will Levis.
That can't be right. That's it?
That's it.
No. Oh, it's
That's it.
Oh.
Will Levis.
So you're saying that CJ Stroud is better than those guys?
I'm saying CJ Stroud is better than those guys. CJ Stroud, we talked about it on the Tuesday show. CJ Stroud had a couple head scratchers there that got brought back. he still ended up putting up pretty good numbers. I think he's going to be pretty good in this one. Bears aren't going to get their defensive scores like they did last time. I will take Houston minus 6.5.
I can't get over that list. And the funny thing is, too, Matt Eberflus is a defensive coach. The one thing that he should be okay at is coaching a defense and going up against a good quarterback. The fact that they can only beat bad quarterbacks, like how many of those quarterbacks that you named are still starting in the NFL right now? Will Levis from last week, obviously, but like anyone else? Sam Howell's a backup. Bailey Zappi's a backup. Josh Johnson's a backup. Like what? Davis Mills is a backup. That's insane.
Yeah. And so this would obviously be the biggest win if they could find a way to beat Houston here.
The coach of the year betting favorite, Matt Eberflus, ladies and gentlemen, somehow. All right, my final best bet for betting. This is a game that I've kind of gone back and forth on, and we talked about it. The Rams-Cardinals game, I was like, that line's really short. I think a lot of people are going to bet the Rams here because they're like, how are the Rams underdogs? And I'm going to be one of those people. Look, the Rams, if it was another NFC West team, if it was like the Seahawks, let's say, I'm all in on the Cardinals here, that same line, perfect. But the Rams, in their last 9 visits to Arizona, are 9-0 against the spread. And I imagine a lot of those two, they were favorites in those games as well. Also, under Sean McVay, coming off a loss under Sean McVay, they've covered 60% of their games, which is the best mark in the NFL over that stretch. So not only are the Rams going to a place that they feel very comfortable with, that they should be able to do their thing against, but also they have arguably the best coach in the NFL who can help a team prepare and bounce back after a loss. And it's not like they looked terrible against Detroit. In fact, there were a lot of things that looked really good. It seems like Cooper Kupp is back to being Cooper Kupp. Yeah. I know that they have some injuries to worry about, but I don't think we're going to see a game that the Cardinals shut down this Rams offense. I like it to be on the higher scoring side, and I think the Rams ultimately get it done here. So I'm going to take the Rams on the road against Arizona.
Yeah, you would think this would be a win for the Rams. But again, I'm just a little unsure of what Arizona actually is. And that would be my concern and the injury concern. But it seems like we're on most of the same page here with our best bets for betting. That's scary.
Oh, never a good sign. When you are agreeing, large part, the guy who went 0-4 last week.
Oops. Yeah, that's not real good. You'll bounce back. Time to bounce back this week.
Yeah, I had a lot of player props that ended up saving me, and we could probably start mixing in those like for future best bets where we mix in some player props and like who's the guaranteed anytime touchdown scorer. I told you my guarantee was a Dallas pick 6 against Derek Carr this week. I
like that. That's good.
Doesn't seem super crazy, all things considered. It didn't feel like Dallas defense scores a touchdown every single game these days. All right. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up the show, get to our Barry Bonds stat?
Not really. Obviously we've kind of discussed that we're not super thrilled with either of the slates, but come on, let's not be kidding. We're going to be addicted. We're going to watch as much football as possible the next 2 days and into the Monday night football game. But yeah, I mean, I gave my best bets, and then there was a few others that I liked. So it should be a fun weekend. And week 2 kind of starts telling you if the week 1 result was actually for real, or and then some teams you get even more confused because they played well and then played like crap, and then vice versa. So week 2 is hopefully clear some things up on some of these teams.
Yeah, and you have situations where you have a brutal start to the schedule in terms of like strength of schedule, and then other teams, it's like, oh wow, you haven't played anyone yet. You have not been challenged at all. So yeah, it's very hard to say. I feel that. Do you want to throw any baseball thoughts out there? Do you have baseball thoughts? Are you following the Cardinals' quest for the playoffs?
I mean, they're six games back with like 12 to play, so they're big trouble. 14, 15 to play, whatever it is. Cubs are also in trouble as well. Cardinals are 10 back of the division, which means they are 5 back of the wild card. 5.5, excuse me. 5.5 the wild card.
It's
Not gonna
okay.
happen.
Well, at least they're still getting 41,000 fans
Yeah,
allegedly at every single game at Busch Stadium.
they sure are.
That's the important thing. All right. Do you have a Barry Bonds stat of the day for us?
I do. So we've talked. I mean, this is only show 6, but we've kind of thrown a few out there. I know we haven't got to this one, so I'll just do this one. All right. So from 1994 to 2004, so that would be what, a 5-year span: 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. So
Or are you saying 99 in 2004?
99 to 04. Yeah.
Okay.
Barry Bonds only grounded into 33 double plays. Now you're like, okay, that's great. But that's the exact same amount of double plays that Juan Pierre hit into during that same period. Now, keep in mind, Juan Pierre was known as one of the fastest players in all of Major League Baseball during those periods. And also Juan Pierre, who hit 285 fewer home runs during that period. So it's not like one is known for their elite speed and one was known for their elite everything. And this just goes to show that Barry Bonds was the elite everything. 33 double plays during that short period of time. That's not very many. I mean, There are some dudes that will ground into 33 in a season. They pound the ball on the ground to short. Nolan Arenado has probably got 33 in a month. I mean, he grounds the ball to short and hits in double play all the time. 33 double plays from 1999 to 2004. Same amount as Juan Pierre. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's incredibly impressive. Yeah, I mean, so that's 6 seasons, right? That's 6 seasons, and so a little over 5
a
year.
Yeah, 5.5 double plays a year.
Like Albert Pujols, who this isn't fair because Albert Pujols is the all-time major league leader in grounding into double plays.
Yeah.
But it's funny because it's comparable because he is one of the few members of the 700 home run club. There's 4 of them now.
Yeah.
There's 4 of them. Okay, so he's in that elite group with Barry Bonds. But yet, like, if you look at Albert's career, even when he was in his prime in St. Louis, he led the league. He would have 27 double plays in a season. Like, the most he had in the year was 29. The fewest he had in a year where he was fully healthy was like, 14, 15, something like that, which is already close to half of what Barry Bonds did over an entire 6-year stretch. So that's insane.
Yeah. Barry Bonds still insane at baseball.
And that's why we continue to have these Barry Bonds stats of the day. It's a good bookend to the show, just to remind us of what a freak that guy was. But that'll do it for episode 6 of the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth. Reminder, you can follow us at Stupid Sports Show, no W, on Twitter. Follow us elsewhere, Instagram, YouTube, at Stupid Sports Show. Also, you can listen. We did a bad job this week, and I'll take the L for it, of not promoting the podcast of episode 5. But a reminder that shortly after each episode that we do live, the podcast is up on Spotify, on Apple, on iHeart. It usually is uploaded probably within an hour of by the time we're done recording. So in case you miss any part of it or miss the whole thing and you want to just listen when you're in the car, on the go, doing whatever, you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, the Stupidest Sports Show on Earth. Rodney, what are your weekend plans? Are you just gonna couch potato watch sports? Or are you gonna do some pumpkin festival? What's your plan?
So Friday is early out day for my kids. So in 2 hours, my kids are already out with school. Awesome. Love that. Love Fridays that they get out early. I am working the pumpkin drive-through across town over there by the Key. So if you want to come get some of your favorite food, come see me between 4 and 5:45 this evening.
Service with a smile, baby.
Yep. My son's got a baseball doubleheader tomorrow morning, so will not be partaking in any of the festivities over there. And then after that, I am coming home for the weekend. I do have my Sunday morning show, 9 to 11 with Skeeter Robinson. I will tweet out that link Sunday morning. So if you want to listen in there, that would be great. Tim, you're always welcome to text in the show and join us that way, or even give us a call. That would be awesome. And I'm hoping Sunday is pretty lazy. I could use a lazy day, and looking forward to, and be one of those days where, like, I'll have football on, but, like, may get outside a little bit. I'm not going to pigeonhole myself to a chair or a couch this time. I'm going to just kind of follow it in various ways this weekend.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good plan. I'm probably going to be similar. Saturday is going to be the active doing things day, and then Sunday is the day where it's like just leave me alone. I just want to
Yeah.
watch football.
No, I hear you.
That's all. That's all. This is a dumb question because I used to work at the radio station that you do the show at with Skeeter for many, many, many years. Do the phones actually work still?
They do. They do. We did get a phone call last week. It came in nice, loud, and clear.
Oh,
The
good.
caller wanted to know about Jamar Chase,
Oh, okay.
which I will tell you, Skeeter and I were a little bit differing there. And I'll kind of throw Skeeter under the bus a little bit here. I don't mean this necessarily in a wrong way, but he's always been that guy where, like, hey, you drafted Jamar Chase in the first round. You got to go with him. You got to take the good with the bad here. He wanted to sit Jamar Chase quite a bit last week. And right or wrong, because Jamar Chase was just okay. I mean, some of the guys, obviously it goes by case basis. But for me, I wasn't able to sit Jamar Chase because he was my number one pick. He still got you, 8, 9 points, whatever it was that he got you last week. I just found it kind of crazy that he was so willing to sit Jamar Chase in week 1 after drafting him in round 1. So we did get a call on that. Yes, the phone lines work.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad they still work. I'm glad people are still calling into sports radio shows too. That's something, like, even after the world is long over, you're still going to get calls on a Sunday morning or a Monday after a football Sunday to just rant about things. That's the fabric of our nation.
They're probably like 50 years or older, but yes, they are calling.
All right, sounds good. Well, on behalf of Rodney Newpel, the Thursday Night Football expert, I'm Tim, the hit dog Van Stratton. Have a good weekend. We'll be back Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Central, to recap what's hopefully a very exciting week in football and a pumpkin festival and other things that happen on Rodney's fantasy show where people call in to ask questions. We'll recap all of it. So, Rodney, have a good weekend. I'll talk to you next week, pal.
Sounds good.
Step right up, dummies, and listen to the stupidest sports show on earth with Rodney Newpel and Tim Van Stratton. Yeah.